let the world know the truth. Expose the lies, study the bloodlines, the apprehension of trainings, let the world know the truth. Expose the lies, study the bloodlines, the apprehension of drive for the Spanish, Dutch, and the British arrived. Slavery we was from Africa, the soul of the right. That's trick move, nothing that a dirty war would do. Claim your nationality of the land, you get screwed. So we studied your background, your treaties you wrote, fake as history. We ain't go over here on no boat, frontin' like you indigenous to the land. Disgust me, tomahawks back in our hands, it's here ugly. You run around screaming black power, touch cells to the truth, rivers fell with a bull and high hells. Native American but hurt, can't tell, cause they know damn well the trail of tears ain't real. Respect the aborigine, this land is ours, you know you all. You still a guest, motherfucker. I have one little, two little, three little Indian grandmas, but society keep killing them, telling it. I have one little, two little, three little Indian grandmas, but society keep killing them, telling it. House nigga, real nigga, fake nigga, feel nigga. My skin ain't black, what the deal, nigga? Salute on my real shit, it's aborigines, owners of the land and every goddamn shit, every goddamn sea. Invaders ever cross, step foot on the land and you can step the fuck off. Breathe, you can make a swing to sacred tomahawk. Fucking around with us with that black Choctaw. Fake pics of slave ships, that's the reference. If we African, look, you gon' need more evidence. I'm American, Aboriginal, indigenous, Djibouti DNA test. That shit is rhetoric, stay woke. Aboriginal, get out. Your civil rights acts, all you can eat, big out. It's Stockholm syndrome, mixed kids out. Phoenix Moon got the antidote, get that shit out. Meanwhile, rapping about my birthright, fuck a freestyle. Teach each man, each woman, each child. Black faces really Indians indeed now. Man, they indeed now. Holly Dog, Title 18, G goes. Pilgrims get big though, with Phoenix and Beast Mode. Bring them up peoples out of the sleep. Oh, we ain't black, colors, Africans, or Negroes. But one little, two little, three little Indian grandmas, but society keep killing them, telling it. I have one little, two little, three little Indian grandmas, but society keep killing them, telling it.
Ain't it still the song? Ain't it still the song? That is still fire. Still fire. What is it? 4 years? I don't know. 4 years later, that song's still fire. Oh, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful time to be alive, and it's most definitely a beautiful day in Indian country. Wanted to do a little drive-by here. Got my good brother DT.
Can you hear me?
Jack, one of the most underrated, slept on, hijacked scholars who everybody, I ain't gonna say everybody, but a lot of these lame niggas been jacking his work for years, right? Yeah, you definitely, like, you know, Mobb Deep, and they were probably the most bootleg CD ever. I know they went quadruple platinum, but people bootleg their shit. But you, Bo, I know people bootleg your shit and used to be quadruple platinum. Shout out to you. What's happening with you, sir? How's everything going?
I'm good. I'm glad to be in the building. I'm glad to be here, you know, amongst the family. And I appreciate the flowers, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I've been tapped in to you as long probably as I've been really doing stuff on the internet, you know what I'm saying, and working on Facebook in particular, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, you know, you've been as consistent as anybody else in this game, always about the business, the work, the politics. So, you know, I gotta give you the flowers back too. You already know. You feel me?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Well, hold on. Let me try and get my little headset together here. I've got some headphones. Give me 1 second. Let me plug in and we're going to get to it.
Yeah. Look, these folks disabling comments, man. Like, they thought they was going to get away like that. All right, it's not that easy.
All right, 1 2 1 2. Can everybody hear me clearly?
Yep. Mic check. You in there?
You hear me, but I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Let me straighten this. Let me straighten it. Why don't you give them a little preface of what we're going to show tonight? I think the first 30 minutes need to run. I'm going to be honest with you. Chuck Hoskins and a little sit down involving our people and shit. I think that maybe we should run at least a little half hour and then get the old girl that they trying to make the delegate. And kind of tell the people, walk the people down this path of what's happening and all that. Y'all definitely want to like the video, share the video. Other people will steal the drop and not drop names. They won't drop our names, right? They'll call us everything but the creators of a lot of this solution and a lot of this dispute drop that's happening, right? I definitely wanted to make sure we say that. Oh, and we got so many other good things to talk about too. Let me give a little shout out to the Queen Chief, Elwyn Gilliam, Chief Warhorse, y'all. She got a channel. It's about to be lit. I can't wait for the elder to come back and put this information out. Just so many years worth of history. I'm super excited for her. This is going to be lit. We got a lot of good stuff she's going to be talking about. And of course, it's always time to learn. You're never too old to learn. And who best to teach it but the elder, right? So I'm going to make sure I post her channel so y'all can like and subscribe. I do believe Word Around the Campfire is she's going live on December 1st. It's been a long time. She's out. We ain't got a lot of elders. We ain't got a lot of truthers out here. Can't wait to see it. It's going to be good medicine. I think she's going to be good medicine for the internet with all this stuff that's been going on, all this crazy debauchery. A lot of people been talking, but I've yet to see anything happen for the people. It's always been about self. You know what I'm saying? People have businesses and they name the businesses after they self, kind of selfish. You know what I'm saying? Not for the people. What is for the people, by the people, straight like that. I'm going to just put it out there like that. Let's start with Chuck. Give the people a little synopsis of the delegate, the treaty. Let's start there.
I mean, really, I was going to say, I think you cook the best on that. You want to talk about that? You cook about the delegates, and then I get into the video. You feel me? With these cats coming at the Lumbee.
With the 141? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and if you don't mind, could you in the back channel send me the 151 again, the 141? We don't like that kind of liquor. I heard a 151, but not 141. That's a funny number. We're going to get to that, y'all. Okay, so the 1835 New Choctaw Treaty, a lot of us are attached to this treaty. I know I certainly am, a few of my cousins as well. And for the others that may meet up in ancestry with us, with these particular ancestors. So we got New Choctaw. Their Cherokee Nation had a sit down, I believe November 17th, this was, with Senate regarding having a Cherokee delegate in the House of Representatives as per the 1835 New Choctaw Treaty. This treaty that has been completely ignored for almost 200 years, they now want to activate this treaty in order to have a delegate as per Article 7 of this New Choctaw Treaty, which I happen to have right here. Let me get it for you. Okay. Let's see. Now we're just gonna skip on down. Some people are probably already familiar with it. Certainly, if you are, then you know how to move through it. Just go straight down to Article 7, and you will see what it is that they're talking about. What I am going to do is briefly show it. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to let the video run for a good 20 minutes. You need to hear the opening statements and then kind of see how the flow goes with this Senate meeting. okay, as they're trying to just kind of attach themselves to Article 7. Article 7, the Cherokee Nation, having already made great progress in civilization and deeming it important that every proper and laudable inducement should be offered to their people to improve their condition, as well as to guard and secure in the most effectual manner the rights guaranteed to them in this treaty, and with the view to illustrate the liberal and enlarged policy of the government of the United States towards the Indians in their removal beyond the territorial limits of the states, it is stipulated that they shall be entitled to a delegate in the House of Representatives of the United States whenever Congress shall make provision for the same. And I'm going to stop there because we're going to end up going back to it so I can show you what the rest of it that they like to leave out as they try and, take a little bit of piece of the sandwich, like kind of like you get a Big Mac and then you take a napkin and wipe all the sauce off when you could have just told them no sauce, no cheese, no nothing. You kind of just take all the layers off and take what you want out the burger. That's what these are trying to do. I thought it was humorous. I don't know what Chucky's up to, but let's get to it. He's got a lot going on. I know he did not make a lot of friends with this. Okay, I want to make sure I have my other minute marker when old girl speaks. Okay. He did not make a lot of friends with this, but what he did maybe opened the door for some new allies, especially for those of us that are attached to this treaty. And many of us that don't know may or may not know that they're attached to this treaty, in fact are, and we're going to show that too. Let me get to this video. Pay attention, listen closely. What is happening here? Okay.
Yeah, a little game of three card. It's like they playing 3-card money out there, or a little shell game. You know what I'm saying?
My goodness, this was so interesting, to say the least, if nothing else. So let's get this shaking, and I'm probably going to run this for at least 20 minutes. You guys need to hear what's happening. Okay.
All right. The Rules Committee will come to order. American history with the indigenous people that are native to this land is atrocious. There is no other way to put it. It's appalling. Thankfully, it's becoming common to acknowledge this publicly, whether that means recognizing Native American Heritage Month every November. Point out that this capital is built on the stolen land of the Choctaw and Piscataway people who lived along the Potomac River long before this country existed. But the truth is that simply acknowledging this truth is not enough. Words alone don't absolve us of the horrific injustices brought on Native American communities at the hands of the U.S. government. Actions do. And that is why I'm hopeful that today's historic hearing opens a new door towards building greater understanding and the possible inclusion of these communities in Congress. In 1835, the U.S. government and individuals from the Cherokee Nation negotiated a treaty of Choctaw, an agreement with this government that was ratified by the United States Senate. The treaty, which led to the forced removal of the Cherokee from their homelands, included a provision that says that the Cherokee Nation, I quote, shall be entitled to a delegate to the House of Representatives of the United States whenever Congress shall make provision for the same, end quote. It's been nearly 200 years. But I'm proud that this committee on this day, at this hearing, for the first time ever, is exploring procedural options for the potential implementation of seating a Cherokee Nation delegate. This is a complicated issue, which is why we have experts with us today to help answer questions and help us to find a way to move forward. And several other tribes have also come forward to say that they're entitled to a delegate as well. So while the conversations we're having pertain solely to the Cherokee Nation, we know that more work will have to be done to examine this issue further. Again, I personally believe we need to find a way to honor our treaty obligations with the Cherokee Nation, even though it will be a potentially challenging road to get there, but we need to honor those treaty obligations. And Congress should find a way to make this happen. And now let me turn to our ranking member, Mr. Cole, member of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, and one of only a few Native Americans serving in Congress right now, for his remarks. I'm proud to serve alongside of him every day, but especially today as he helps this institution navigate this important issue. Probably some days more than others, Mr. Chairman, but this is a good day. And I want to thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank my friend, Chief Hoskins, for being here. We're here today. Procedural factors related to seating a delegate from the Cherokee Nation and House of Representatives. Before I continue my remarks, I want to personally thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing today. I'm hopeful that the discussions that we have today help lay the groundwork for other committees of jurisdiction to examine this issue in more detail. Regardless, today marks an important first step toward examining the questions and the process surrounding the seating of a delegate from the Cherokee Nation. As a member of the Chickasaw Nation and co-chair of the Congressional Native American Caucus, I've always voiced my support for the federal government to honor its treaty obligation. Far too often, for far too long, in our nation's history, the federal government accumulated a sorry record of making promises to tribes and then breaking those promises as soon as it was expedient to do so. Only in recent years has the record improved. With today's hearing, we begin examination of a specific promise made in the Treaty of New Choctaw in 1835. I certainly welcome the examination of this question by Congress. But it seems clear from the language of the treaty that this right is not self-executing and would require action by Congress to implement. As we consider this, members of the House have real questions about this issue. And the purpose of today's hearing is to begin examining those questions in detail. In addition to basic procedural questions, these questions will include, are there other tribes that have this right? Why did the tribe choose to select this delegate by council vote rather than by vote of the tribe? Are there concerns about double representation resulting in constituents being represented both by their geographic member of Congress and by a delegate from the tribe? Is this arrangement constitutional? And if so, what factors must be considered? How would the seating of delegate change the character of the House, if it did at all? Many more. I list out these questions for our witnesses to discuss, along with others that will assuredly come up during today's hearing. It's important to note that the right contained in the treaty may be clear, but the resolution of those rights and how they may be applied still require great examination and consideration. The House ultimately decides to move forward, it will only do so after a bipartisan recognition of the claim, and a bipartisan process going forward. We should remember that the Cherokee Nation is not the only tribe that has or may have this right, and the process we ultimately follow for this claim may apply to others as well. I'm glad to see tribes advocating for their treaties with such conviction. Today's hearing represents a starting point in that bipartisan process of recognizing tribal treaty rights. However, additional work and consideration is needed, particularly by the other committees of jurisdiction. And I hope the work begun here today continues to carry the process forward, ideally examining all such claims by tribes that possess them. Finally, I wish to clean up a common misunderstanding about the nature of today's hearing that I've seen reported in the media. It's a hearing to give Congress an opportunity to understand the issue of seating a delegate to represent the Cherokee Nation. No vote on that issue today. Indeed, at present, no legislation has been introduced on this issue. Today's hearing is a good first step, but we have a long way to go in the process. Indeed, until legislation is proposed and the issues taken up by all committees of original jurisdiction, Congress is unlikely to act. I thank our witnesses for appearing before us today in what I think of as an historic hearing, and I look forward to their testimony. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you. And I thank the ranking member for his opening statement. And I now want to introduce our distinguished witnesses. Chuck Hoskins Jr. serves as the principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. Prior to being elected to his role in 2019, Chief Hoskins was Cherokee Nation's Secretary of State and also served as a member of the Council of the Cherokee Nation. Lindsey Robertson is a professor at the University of Oklahoma College of Law and an Indigenous Law Center visiting professor. He teaches classes in federal Indian law, constitutional law, and international and comparative Indigenous peoples law, among other topics. Manion A. Schwartz is a legislative attorney in the American Law Division of the Congressional Research Service. In that capacity, Ms. Schwartz provides nonpartisan legal and constitutional analysis to Congress on a range of matters, including federal Indian law and congressional authority over the United States territories. We are delighted that all three of you are here, and Chief Hoskin will begin with you. Just make sure your light is on.
Certainly. Chairman McGovern, Ranking Member Cole, and distinguished members of the committee, OCO. Hello. I bring you greetings from the Cherokee Nation Reservation. Before I go into my remarks, I want to acknowledge that representatives of our government, other than myself, are here today. We have our Speaker of the Council of the Cherokee Nation, Mike Shambaugh, is here. Councilman Keith Austin is here. Councilor Joe Deere is here. A member of my cabinet, the Marshal of the Cherokee Nation, Shannon Buell, is here. And of course, our delegate to the United States House of Representatives, Kim T, is here with us.
We're honored that you're all here.
This is, Mr. Chairman, an historic day for the Cherokee Nation and an historic day for the United States. We're re-examining something of critical importance to both the United States and the Cherokee Nation. And I thank you for holding the hearing. I speak to you today on behalf of not only the more than 440,000 citizens of the Cherokee Nation, but millions of Cherokee citizens who have waited for this day to come since 1835. This morning, we'll examine a promise made to the Cherokee Nation in the Treaty of New Echota, 1835. That, Mr. Chairman, is our removal treaty. This was the agreement that directly led to the deaths of thousands of Cherokees on the Trail of Tears. In this treaty, the Cherokee Nation conveyed the entirety of our lands east of the Mississippi, about 7 million acres, to the United States. In exchange, the government of the United States made certain promises. One of those promises was that it is, quote, stipulated that the Cherokee Nation shall be entitled to a delegate in the House of Representatives of the United States whenever Congress shall make provision for the same. That's Article 7 of the Treaty of New Echota. The carefully constructed promise found in that article was in fact critical to secure the agreement of the Cherokee people. Quote, the Indians will never approve that bill without the delegate. That was from a negotiator from the Cherokees, John Ridge. Quote, if you fail to obtain for us the right of being heard on the floor of Congress by our delegate, let the bill perish here. The bill did not perish. The federal government agreed to the delegate. The parties entered into the Treaty of New Echota, and the Senate of the United States ratified that treaty. Our right to a delegate was brought forward in our last treaty with the United States in 1866, and it remains the supreme law of the land. Cherokee Nation, and Cherokee Nation alone, is the tribe that is the party to the Treaty of New Echota and the Treaty of 1866. Cherokee Nation has in fact adhered to our obligations under these treaties. I'm here to ask the United States to do the same. It's time for this body to honor this promise and seat our delegate in the House of Representatives. No barrier, constitutional or otherwise, prevents this. As you consider this issue, I believe it's important that you remember the following. First, the Treaty of New Echota is a living, valid treaty, and the delegate provision is intact. Lapse of time cannot abrogate a treaty. That is settled law. To abrogate a treaty, Congress must do so expressly and clearly, and it has not done so here. Article 7 uses classic mandatory language that creates a right for the Cherokee Nation and imposes a duty on the United States. The provision twice uses the word shall. It uses terms stipulated and entitled. This right is unique to the Cherokee Nation. Seating our delegate would not open up the floodgates to other tribes seeking their own representation. Only 3 tribal treaties contemplate some voice in the House of Representatives. Of these, the Cherokee Nation right in the Treaty of New Echota is by far the clearest and most direct. Fairness, as always, Mr. Chairman, is important, but denying Cherokee Nation our right to a delegate simply because this is not a universal right shared by all tribes is not fairness. Our ancestors prioritized this right in the negotiation of the Treaty of New Echota. We have no right to claim the treaty of other tribes. They have no right to claim ours. Concerns over dual representation have been voiced, and they are not warranted. It's well settled since the founding era that the term representative in the constitutional sense requires that the representative have a vote on the House floor for final passage. A delegate in this body has no such right. Indian treaties, unlike international treaties, are self-executing. And the Congressional Research Service asked whether this treaty right is self-executing, but CRS points to cases addressing international treaties, and there is, Mr. Chairman, a distinction. Now, I acknowledge the Supreme Court has repeatedly concluded that an international treaty must be domesticated through a federal statute. However, Indian treaties are inherently domesticated. All of the cases that have considered this have held that Indian treaties are self-executing. Mr. Chairman, I would point the committee to the 1986 Supreme Court case of Sosi versus the United States. The court summed it up this way, quote, "The government has simply failed to counter the argument that no case has ever held an Indian treaty to be non-self-executing." Mr. Chairman, the House has ample authority to unilaterally seat a treaty-backed Cherokee Nation delegate. Under the Constitution's Supremacy Clause, treaties and statutes create the supreme law. Since a treaty established the delegate position, there's no need for a separate statute to create the delegate position. This would render the treaty right in Article 7 of our treaty meaningless. We agree with the CRS that the House could seat our delegate by adjusting its standing rules through a House resolution. Mr. Chairman, tribes, tribal organizations, and tribal citizens across the country strongly support our effort. They understand that fulfilling this promise would be an historic victory for treaty rights and sovereignty. The Treaty of New Echota requires, Mr. Chairman, the House to seat our delegate. I urge you to seat Kim Teehee without delay. Finally, Mr. Chairman, I am a proud American, and I am a proud citizen of the Cherokee Nation. I have great respect for the United States House of Representatives. Because of all of this, it is my firm belief and expectation that the House of Representatives will take swift action to seat our delegate to Congress, honor our treaty right, and therefore make the United States good on its promise to our Cherokee ancestors. Wado, thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Chief, for your powerful testimony. I now would like to turn to Professor Robertson. You're recognized for your testimony.
I think I'm gonna stop right there. We have
now that makes faster starting speeds.
Have our beloved Chief Warhorse in the building. Hi, Chief. How are you?
I'm fine.
Hey, how you doing?
It's an honor to be here. I was just enjoying that hearing. I got a lot to say. I don't know who the audience is right now, but you always do a good job on helping bring out things that's being done wrong. That's the way I want to start off with tonight. And what you fixing to work on now, you and I have agreed, and other people from Oklahoma that's working with us, like Mr. Waldo, for whoever is on here, this is the real fight. The treaties have not been upheld because they've been having interruption, or should I say outside influence or outside interference. And from my understanding from you, that's what this show gonna be about tonight. So I'm gonna shut up for a minute. And anything y'all want to call on me for, I'm here. And if I hear something I want to jump in, I'll let you know, Phoenix. But I'm gonna just sit back and listen for a bit.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Can I say, Chief? Yeah, Chief, I'm definitely honored to have you here. Honored to be on, on the show today with you. And I definitely would agree that's that interference that's going on. That's the problem. And it was ironic that Chuck was talking about, oh, no nation should, be concerned with our treaties, and we shouldn't be concerned with their treaties. I'm paraphrasing, but he could say that, but he's still all involved in the governing that's going on with with the Lumbee, so, and the MoWa Choctaw. So it's a lot of interference, like you said. So yeah,
Okay,
I'm glad that we're gonna address it.
Mr. Taylor, you with the Lumbee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Me, I'm not enrolled. My lineage could tie to it. I live on the South Carolina
I'm not
side.
worried about
My
the
people on the PD
enrollment.
side.
I'm not
Yeah,
worried
yeah,
about
yeah.
the
Those my
enrollment.
people. No, those my people though. Those
That's
my people.
all
I
I
live
wanted
on
to
the
know.
South Carolina
That's
side,
all
so
I
the
wanted
PD
to
people
know.
too.
Look, that's all I wanted to know. Well,
All of
I'm assuming you the gentleman that sent that to Mr. Waldo, and I thank Mr.
yes.
Waldo from getting it to me. And I'm gonna tell Phoenix Moon, because Phoenix Moon is the best blogger we have out there on our side. Okay, Phoenix spent long hours, day and night, trying to advocate for everybody. So if that's your lineage, you're supposed to do what you did, bring to attention. So I would like to say I brought it to the attention after it was brought to my attention. I took it to the MoWa chief, okay? And we talked again today for the second or third time. And he's taking it to his people. They're calling a meeting. And I told him to also reach out to the Lumbee chief. The difference there is there's a lot I got to say about that area where the MoWa is, because that's a part of West Florida. And Phoenix, no, when it come down to West Florida, they didn't pick the fight with me, huh, Phoenix?
Yes, ma'am.
That's my history. And I asked the gentleman today, the chief, give him his proper respect. I talked to Chief Weaver. And Chief Weaver is letting me know some of these people that's putting some of this filthy blogging out there, Phoenix, that you had sent to me, that this lady is connected with Canada, okay, somewhat, and that Michigan groups. So these are not even people from down here that know us. They're not our next door neighbor, cousins, or nothing. They're not even our ally in the past, nor our allies now. What we need to concentrate on is focusing on the double standard. If your skin dark or brown or a little tanner than what they want it to be, then you're not qualified to stand under the treaty. And what I just heard the gentleman say, which he don't realize it, if we were part of the treaty with this brown skin, we still stand under the treaty, and they cannot make United States do more than they willing to do with us out here. Okay? So if the treaty still stands, everything still stands. Because that's the law of the land. I have a grandfather that signed the Dancing Rabbit Treaty. His skin was brown. Browner than any Indian I see federally recognized today. And they still discriminate against us. So the main focus I think we need to deal with, Mr. Taylor, is exposing the racism in Indian countries, something I've been trying to do for 40-some years.
I understand.
We are victims of the Jim Crow law, okay? And each state had its own version it added to the Jim Crow law. So we're talking about that black code. And that black code need to be removed from us publicly. And it need to start in the institutions of the universities and in our government agencies. Why? Those two things rely on each other. Anything going through these legislation, they reach to the university for information. You go to the university, they reach through any law that's been passed by legislation. So it's sort of like they got their own little little claw going on, that the European Indians can go jump in and get the university and the politician to hear them on blocking us being heard. So we have to raise our voice a little louder. Okay? Y'all still there?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
fully,
Yes, ma'am. I
yeah, I
want
fully
you to
agree.
know.
That's what we're here for.
So as they tried to activate this treaty of New Echota, which includes a lot of people that were not on the Dawes rolls, does not mean that they are not American Indian, although they've been treated as such. And with this is a perfect example of how this has become a political push for membership versus the bloodline kinship. And there hasn't been any respect put on the bloodline. It's become a big political rift. I think it's an interesting time right now with this New Echota Treaty. Some interesting things. The Supreme Court has also notified that all treaties are standing. You can't have one without having them all. So if you get rid of one, you have to get rid of all of them. And that's just not something that's going to happen. Now, in the interest of the Office of Federal Acknowledgement, we can also see the contemptuous position that they have played for decades and how it's been egregious to American Indians, to where you can now be Native American without first being American Indian, right? But no day in America are you okay to just be an American Indian. And that's what we've noticed. That's what a lot of our experiences are. Let me play you this curmudgeon, negative, really disrespectful video from a bunch of people from federally recognized tribes. Before I do, let me just play out this voicemail that I received. I almost forgot, from one of the Lakota that was actually, we were going to do an interview on their radio show. And turns out he really just wanted to lambaste us and, say how Indian we're not. So let me just play this message. He is from the Lakota Sioux Nation. And this is what he had to say to me. Okay, hold on one second. He actually left this on my voicemail. I did not recall, I didn't record the first call, which I should have, because it was, that was the one that actually caught me off guard. This one here was kind of predictable, but he left the message anyway. This is bold. Hold on a second. Here we go. I don't know if you guys can hear. Hold on one second. Let me get it. Here it is.
Hey, young lady, I got another message from you, and I'm putting it this way, okay? I'm going to get a sister of ours to call you, and that way you can elaborate with her. And then I expect you guys to be on the show on Sunday. So on Sunday, when you come on the show, it'll be up to you guys to determine your fate and all your equivalency or whatever your blood is. I'm going to leave it at that because I want a woman to talk to you because to me, you're not a woman. That's me. And you can take it any way you want. But I'm going to give her your number. Pick it up, answer your phone call. Don't be no bullshit people like white people and don't answer your phone, answer the phone. I'm going to give her your number. All right, thank you. Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow night on the show.
Okay, so,
That was bad. That was supposed to be professional. That was horrible.
So I have that. This man also let me know on the phone call that I probably should have recorded. He said that they hid Angela Davis over at Standing Rock when the FBI was looking for her. And several other Black Panthers. I thought that was interesting. Sometimes you just let people talk, especially people that are wicked and have so much vitriol and stuff like that going on. I'm going to actually make sure that I make a video and I'll post it so you guys can hear. It should be on there. It'll be in the form of a short, but I'll make sure you put it there where the audio is loud and clear so you guys can hear him. It's just an insult. Like I said, I don't know if he was trying to hurt my feelings, but it really just was a terrible example of someone that says they're representing the Lakota Sioux. And, extremely racist and very misogynistic too, might I add. Okay, so let me play this this right here. You guys, hold on. And this is pretty messed up. This is in regards to the Lumbee. 141 tribes opposed to the Lumbee and the MoWa Choctaw being federally recognized. And here is how the gatekeepers have been able to do it. They couldn't hold it in any longer, and they had to show this ugly display. So now you have people from the Lakota Sioux Nation that have not a lick of history in the 13 colonies. Not one day has their ancestors ever spent in pre-colonial Virginia, New York, West Florida. They're not from our neck of the woods, but they have so much to say, particularly about the Lumbee and the MoWa Choctaw. So here it is. Let's and this is what they've been doing for decades. Politics over membership, and membership over bloodline and kinship. And that's how they've been operating.
It's always been a fight. From 1492, it's been a fight.
Talking about a government that pre-exists the United States. Whether I'm young or old, I would die for our ground.
You don't know the pain and the history of our people, what we went through and still go through every day.
We have no connection to the ground. There's no history of them ever being there.
Our trustee failed us in that process. Not on my watch.
We fight for the right to be able to sit here and say that we are Wolf Clan. Don't try to steal an identity of another tribe, because we're proving who we are as Cherokee.
Use your culture, your language, your identity. You lose that, you lose who you are.
When we first encountered Lewis and Clark, ours was documented through the diaries that they had.
141 tribes have stood up. We're here to fight for our sovereignty.
Being called warriors, we need to go do this. We need to fight.
We're gonna fight, and that's just the way it is.
Prove who you are. There's a legislative attack that is coming in to where we're going to divvy out culture and heritage for political gain.
Our culture, our language, and our land base makes what makes us a nation and a tribe.
We know our history. It goes back in deep time. We know where we lived, loved, and died. We know where those places are. Going back centuries.
We have a lot of claims. We have Bigfoot, Crazy Horse, City
When I see groups that want to bypass that federal process, I'm going to stand and protect those of us who are federally recognized tribes.
We're not against tribes becoming tribes. We're against the non-use of the federal acknowledgement process. And once they do that, that's a plan. They become a federally recognized tribe we're embracing.
Lumbee's and MoWa trying to circumvent the OFA process. We're all sticking together saying, follow the process. That's all we're asking you to do.
They're trying to form their own tribe by saying they're native, but they can't trace any lineage back to anybody native.
They have no language. They have no identity. No culture to trace to. No blood quantum. When you talk about sacredness, culture. When you recognize a group that doesn't have that, can't even speak their language. They don't know their culture. They don't know their culture. And they say they're practicing so that they can use that to become federally recognized. People are basically impersonating.
They're borrowing culture from other tribes in the area just to say they're a part of something. You can't borrow, steal, take to make something yours when it's not.
You can't just check a box and say I'm indigenous. Tribal nations are going to see sovereignty reduced to ash if you have groups that claim to be the same as a sovereign. How that will destroy what it is to be a tribal nation.
It's literally like they're trying to just rob our people of our identity and our ancestral lineage.
We have family in nameless graves from here to Oklahoma that died on trails that were forced to leave their homeland. Our people died on that trail. Where were you at? Where was your group at? There's no history of that.
The United Indian Nation is opposing MoWa and Lumbee for the simple reason they want to bypass the process.
Some are saying that passing the Lumbee bill or the MoWa bill is pro-tribe. That is entirely not the case. So 141 tribes say it's not.
The Lumbee said they were Cherokee. They called themselves many different things before they became the Lumbee.
All we're asking is go through the process, prove who you are, prove your identity. Don't ask someone to circumvent the process just to put it in there for political gain. That's not right.
We can trace our history throughout the last century and a half. The importance of it all is to ensure that everything is true and correct and we are who we say we are.
If that passed and they become a federally recognized tribe, every tribal member that they have listed now will be of full blood. It's not so much a hurt on me as an insult to me and my culture.
That is a danger that allows the now acknowledged tribe to possess and do what they wish with those lands, with that territory, without consideration, without consultation.
Them not having a history in dealing with those artifacts and how they should be treated and how they should be respected, that's what makes it dangerous.
Culture and history should define the tribes, not politicians. Being a tribe is not for sale.
That's why I'm here, trying to fight a fight that needs to be fought. You might stand alone, but then by doing that, others will see and come join you. Now that's where you start making a difference, and that's what Congress needs to see.
That's our lineage. That's part of the definition of our people. It's our culture, it's our heritage, but it's things that we have fought for that have tried to get taken away from us, and this is what we fight for.
That's how much love we have in our heart for our ground. These things are sacred to us.
Hosea don't home. We're still here.
Okay. So that's how hateful they had to make sure that they made a video to share that, because normally that just happens behind the scenes.
Ian is a little on fire.
Normally that
And
just
the fire
happens
comes out
behind
the
the
top of her.
scenes. Excuse me. That just happens behind the scenes, and then people are just shut down. But this is what they've been able to perpetuate for so many years. It's nice to actually see it caught. All of the hatred and vitriol, it's nice to see it caught overtly.
I feel like it's some of the pressure from the work that we put in, and it's making them feel desperate. You know, when people desperate, they're going to do, you know, crazy things. Like, to me, that video just was wrong in so many levels. You get what I'm saying? You know, the guy said, oh, you know, they're trying to make themselves into a native tribe, something of that sort. And then he said, but they can't trace themselves back to anyone native. Okay. I'm not even going to go with the wordplay and the semantics that's trying to get played there. I mean, we get it, right? Anybody native. I can definitely trace those lineages back to people that was identifiable on these records from the federal government that they appealing to. You feel me? That identified them as Indians. So, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot. It's a lot that we could bust down. You know what I'm saying? I almost really don't know where to start. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know where to start. I know Chief is here. I would love to hear this, I guess, her overall feedback. I know she says she is aware of the video, but after us listen to it again, like, that thing is disgusting to me. It really, really irritated me in so many ways, you know?
My point is, when I first got the video and I watched it, I was very furious because I've been fighting this. And what we got to get people to do, like I was telling Phoenix, everybody started organizing a tribe and all of this stuff, and that became more mud in the water, because this is what kind of junk I've been fighting for over 40-some years. So years ago, when people heard Chief Warhorse talking about fighting and not wanting to be under the BIA, this is what I was talking about. So then you get 20 million people look like some of the organizing a tribe. All that did, and I think they had something to do with that from my point of view, because I've been out here all my life fighting. And in my area, they know I've been fighting. They know my grandparents fought. So my thing was, someone might have put these people, Phoenix, like we be talking about, in there to muddy the water. Because you end up with so many black people organizing so many stupid tribes that didn't have a treaty. And I'm up here fighting real treaty fights. And these fools going to come up and do just what these white people doing right here. But they're not going to let that game play for black folks, real or fake. So you got all these people running around here with these fake tribes. Ask them what is the treaty to that fake tribe. The one thing the man said on the first video, some of those treaties are so powerful. I'm speaking from the one that I'm still under, the Dancing Rabbit Treaty. That thing is so powerful. And you know, to go out there and put together crazy tribes and change your name got to match the records. You know, and if it wasn't for me being able to deal with, I'm still in the same place where we've been when the first Europeans come through, and can prove my grandparents had the land before this was America, France, or Britain, or Spain. That's why they didn't like me too much out there. Because these white people that's talking about genealogy and their ancestors, do a little run on some of the people who signed these treaties. It wasn't our people. It was the European mixed breeds. For Louisiana, we call them Creoles. Okay? So you got these mixed bloods who was faithful to the other side of the family. A lot of them signed on these treaties. But when we really look at the bottom line, we try to compare these modern Indians to the names of who signed on the treaty. Most of them was already mixed breeds. That's number one. Then the next thing is, a lot of these people lived as white. They come out who lived as black. They were living as white. Till Woodrow Wilson reorganized, or what he called the birth of a new nation. Then we're going to fast forward to Nixon, who did the reorganization of the tribes. Simultaneously, right behind the actual Civil Rights Bill, when Johnson signed the Civil Rights Bill, the next bill he signed was the Indian Right Act, signed on the same day with just a different pen, but right at his sitting on the signing. So that tell me that someone had brought a negotiated deal there for the Indians. But what Indians? It wasn't our people. You had already had an organization that had been organized since the 40s, which is the the Indian Congress, or Congress of the Indian, or whatever, the National Congress of the Indians. That was organized by Confederates and descendants of Confederates. So those people organized that. They lobbied, and Nixon went along with that lobbying group and signed the Indian Right Act, not covering black Indians. But at the same time, he was signing stuff to take the businesses, because black folks was becoming free to be able to excel and get jobs because of the Civil Rights Bill, Voting Right Bill. We don't have power in votes. So they diluted us, divided us by giving us these African American, because that was started from my understanding in 61, but giving us this here Black and Proud and all of these movements. We were Indian and proud. So while we fighting this other stuff, they done took the core of our history and they gone right with it while our people running left. We've been running left since the Civil Rights Bill was signed. To take it a little step farther, and I'm not blaming the Civil Rights Movement, I'm blaming people that didn't have an agenda to fight with. So then you go the other direction, you got Nixon taking all the work from the United States and contracting it to China. So we got to look at the whole political arena of what was happening at that time to hold us down as people of color. So now, what did he do? He took China, who in 1942, I was told, only had mostly huts and stuff, to the China we know today, who done bought all of the iron, the aluminum. A lot of these aluminum scrap yards and stuff that was around through our communities was actually sending this stuff to China. China took our trash and built a wealth that's bigger than America's today. So they rather had take the labor to China for cheaper to keep us from getting it at a labor price. So this has more to do with than just the color of our skin as Indians. It was a move to eliminate and exterminate anything that was not a part of the eugenics perfect race segment. I'm backing out on that. Y'all can give it again.
Yeah, that was powerful. I mean, you woke up something about that Confederate aspect, just because when it comes to the Lumbee in particular and the whole Lowry War, you know, that came out of the fact that the Confederates was conscripting Lumbees into the basically to work in the trenches, to build trenches, and what's that, the infantry and stuff like that. They was like conscripting them to do that. So when they killed Henry Berry Lowry's son, then that's when, you know, what they call the Lowry War, it takes off, and, you know, those families, the Lowrys, you know what I'm saying, ultimately a lot of part of those families in particular, they go on to become, you know, the core of the people who sign on that petition with the Lumbee. So I guess I didn't know where to start, but I'm gonna start from there. That's the best place I can start. And I'm gonna read the petition, so we can just get a little bit of understanding about what was going on. So I'm reading from Indians of North Carolina, letter from the Secretary of the Interior, right? All right, and this is Exhibit B1, okay? Petition of Croatan Indians, State of North Carolina, County of Robeson. To the Honorable, the Congress of the United States. The undersigned, your petitioners, are part of the Croatan Indians living in the county and state aforesaid, their residents for 100 years or more, respectfully petition your honorable body for such aid as you may see fit to extend to them, the amount to be appropriated to be used for the sole and exclusive purpose of assisting your petitioners and other Croatans in said county and state to educate their children and fit them for the duties of American citizenship. Your petitioners would show that there are in said county of legal school age of the Croatan race 1,165 in December 1887. That many children, pardon me. That the Croatans in said county and state are industrious citizens, engaged for the most part in agricultural pursuits, and are unable to give their children the benefits of proper educational training, and would, as aforesaid, most respectfully petition your honorable body to assist them. Your petitioners are a remnant of whites' lost colony, and during the long years that have passed since the disappearance of said colony, have been struggling unaided and alone to fit themselves and their children for the exalted privileges and duties of American freemen. And now, for the first time, ask your honorable body to come to their assistance. And your petitioners, as in duty bound, etc. And it lists, you have James Oxendine, Ashbury Oxendine, Zacharias Oxendine, J.J. Oxendine, Billy Locklear, Malachi Locklear, Preston Locklear, John Ballard, yes, Crowley Locklear, G.W. Locklear, Patrick Locklear, Luther Dees, Marcus Dow, Joseph Locklear, Alex Locklear, Frank Locklear, W.W. Locklear, J.E. Lovett, Benny Locklear, John Locklear, Joseph Locklear Jr., Solomon Oxendine, A.J. Lowry, John A. Locklear, Solomon Locklear, Anguish A. Locklear, Silas Dees. That's my great-granduncle right there. Arlene Oxendine, Isaac Brayboy. That's another one of my great-granduncles right there. James Lowry, John A. Locklear, Marcus Dial, Joseph Locklear, Eliak Locklear, Frank Locklear, W.W. Locklear, J.E. Lovett, Bowie Locklear, John Locklear, George Brayboy, Pink Locklear, Johnny Oxendine, William Sampson, Stephen Carter, Everett Sampson, Wu Sampson, John Sampson, Robert Carter, Quinn Gordon, John Oxendine, James R. Sanderson, Peter Dial, Wiley Jacobs, and Murdoch Chavis. Your petitioners above named respectfully ask that if your honorable body admits an educational aid, that it be so appropriated for the trustees of the normal school in said county to use so much thereof as may be necessary to complete the normal school building, and that the residue be applied for the purpose of training teachers among the Croatan race who may attend said school. So that was that petition. Again, you see the year was 1887, right? So when they did that petition, they actually did get a response from the Department of the Interior, right? They responded in August 11th, 1890. So office letter to W.L. Moore, August 11th, 1890. Department of the Interior, Office of Indian Affairs, Washington, August 11th, 1890. W.L. Moore, Osborne, North Carolina. Sir, referring to your letter of July 2nd and office response thereto of the 16th, I have received a communication from Hamilton McMillan of Red Springs, North Carolina, setting forth the situation of the Croatan Indians very fully. It appears from his statement that this band is recognized by the state of North Carolina, has been admitted to citizenship, and the state has undertaken the work of their education. While I regret exceedingly that the provisions made by the state of North Carolina seem to be entirely inadequate, I find it impracticable to render any assistance at this time. The government is responsible for the education of something like 36,000 Indian children and has provisions for less than half this number. So long as the immediate wards of the government are so insufficiently provided for, I do not see how I can consistently render any assistance to the Croatans or any other civilized tribes. I am obliged to you for calling my attention to the matter and have been very much interested in the information furnished by Mr. McMillan regarding this very interesting tribe. Very respectfully, T.J. Morgan, Commissioner. So that kind of walking through the timeline a little bit. We could get into the details as we keep going, but it's crazy when people say, "Oh, you guys are trying to avoid the process." It's clear nobody's trying to avoid the process. The process was right there, and we saw what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's trying to be, who's not, who can't identify or trace back to anything "quote unquote" native if you're trying to say insert that for Indian. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You feel me? Like, I'm a drop right there. Yeah, we could keep going.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, the proof is there. What about the artifacts? Did you hear how they don't know how to handle artifacts? And oh my goodness, like I just thought that it was just I don't know what makes them so much more qualified.
You know what's so bad about that?
What's that?
Oh, my bad. You got a little echo too. You was coming in low on mine. Just I want to be able to make sure everybody can hear you too.
Is that better? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, it's a little bit better. I was just gonna say the part that's getting me is for them to say something so bold like that. But if you go to University of Pembroke in North Carolina, the same school that my that my folks signed that petition for, you go back to that same school right now. They have the Southeast, the Museum of the Southeast American Indian located right there. I mean, this is bizarre that they could even go this far to talk this type of nonsense. You understand what I'm saying, Phoenix? Like, like this seems like bizarre world that
Can
they
I
could
say
say these
something to
type
you,
of
Mr.
things.
Taylor? Mr. Taylor,
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Mr. Taylor,
Can you
you are
guys
so
hear me?
correct.
I just
Yeah,
want
we
to
can
make
hear
sure
you.
you guys can hear me. I had to
We can
switch
hear
to
you
my
clearer
phone.
now. We can hear you real clear.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you a lot better. Definitely.
Okay, you guys go ahead. The floor is yours.
The thing, Mr. Taylor, is your paperwork is there. I'm listening at it. But you see the type of stuff you producing, and you can say, that's my uncle, or that's an uncle. They have not done that. When they show an uncle, is someone from the Confederate soldiers. Okay?
Gotcha.
They, when they had the other hearing things, the one where the chiefs is up there and one's come out and say, well, we're not racist because I'm white. And the other chiefs from the other tribe says, and these the federal recognized tribes out of Oklahoma. And the other one turn around and says, well, I'm half Asian. We're not racist. Okay. But you still ain't saying nobody was of color. Okay. So no matter what color we use, if we say colored people, black people, Negro people, whatever we say, they find a way to flip the script. Okay. The next thing we needed to start doing, Mr. Taylor, is gather all the pictures as you can of your people. If there's pictures available from the 1800s, get those pictures. I'm for the first time. I used to didn't want to bring my pictures out, but now I'm bringing my pictures out because pictures speak 1,000 words, and some speak even more than that. Okay. What we need to be doing is getting enough people that's willing to go to a hearing, not just for my tribe, but the Lumbees, Mr. Waldo and them in Oklahoma with those of Marcus Caesar Bruner, those type groups who have some agreements with the government in writing, not no makeup tribes. Because when you get caught in a makeup black tribe, there's no difference in a makeup white tribe. Okay? Factual organizations, people who has proof. Because when you go to Washington, you can't go on that if, and, maybe, might, and bite. Okay? You need tangible evidence, like the stuff you was reading. Then you put your genealogy to that. And you speaking from your family then. That is your clan now. But what else can you say? What we have to do is push for us a hearing. And to get that, you want to know what's happening to the tribes that had these treaties. See, it need to go based on these treaties existed. We know they still is tangible for this day and time. Why is not being operated for people of color? So then we're gonna have to force them to say that law only works if you don't have black skin. Now that's Jim Crow. That's the black code, and that's illegal. We need the government to tell us, because our skin is black, we don't qualify. And then we need to be asking them, how is these Asians and white Europeans acknowledged as by blood? If they blood form is less than some of the people that they're not letting in. And they the gatekeeper, because in Louisiana there's an Indian Affairs Office, and the gatekeepers are the Acadianas. Political. See, they talking about politics on that tape. What they're accusing us of is what they've been doing historically. And why they're afraid, they know we are getting aggressive for the truth to come out. They cannot afford that. And prior to the internet, we was not connecting enough to cross-reference what was happening to each one of our groups so that we could ally each other with strength. But they were allied. We weren't. What's scaring them is we are coming together. A house divided cannot stand. And we have to admit, we have been a house divided. we don't have tribes with treaties of color sitting down talking real business. Someone sicked a bunch of people out there to muddy the water where you can't reach who is real from who's fake. So that the government can say, okay, well, that's not no real Indian because they the Ukachukas of the Mukasukas. That don't exist, guys. That's fantasy Indian. Don't get me wrong. White folks made it off of some of the makeup stuff. But they were smart enough to stick to treaties that they could scam us from the treaties. And while black folks was running around here being black and proud and everything else, they found an opportunity to penetrate the government, negotiating votes to senators and congressmen. And then we got to go back one step. Some kind of way, United States won the war, but the Confederates won us. We still govern under the Confederate. So until we start really tagging this, and who is these tribes? A lot of them are linked with these Klan organizations and white supremacy organization. They still on the perfect race. And the place that they found to make the perfect race was to use the sovereignty of the tribes, create a perfect race so that we could never penetrate. Are you guys with me?
Totally with you. I'm totally with you.
So when they was doing eugenics, the tribe became the perfect place. And that's what Woodrow Wilson meant when he said the birth of a new nation. Then he would use the Ku Klux Klans to drive our people off their lands and in fear and burn them out. I'm going to back off the mic again and turn it back over to you.
Said a mouthful, Chief. That is in plain sight.
And, you know, it's interesting when we talk about the treaties because, you know, that other issue is another issue. Like they don't have, you know, the United States government doesn't have a treaty relationship with those petition signers, right? It was spoke to in the petition, you know, that this is the first time they're engaging them in this way. But the part that I think,
but it's still
I know they.
But Mr. Taylor, it's still considered a government-to-government communication.
Exactly. And I was going to go to that point because the Supreme Court rulings already hashed it out that Congress is over the BIA. The BIA is not over Congress. And these guys know this. I know they know this. You know what I'm saying? This is why they're at the foot of Congress trying to get this done. But they're trying to get done.
They had the door block for 200 years at the BIA. Okay? Well, let's say a little less than that. I'll say since around 1848 and after they start organizing to lock that door. When they saw that it was going to be coming to a BIA segment. Because remember, we was under the Department of War. So as we go through after Reconstruction, and I will say at least about 20 years after Reconstruction, we're not under the Department of War anymore. That's not what the letters are saying now. Now they're saying Interior. Okay? Department of Interior. So then later you get the birth of what we know today as the BIA. All right? So the BIA is way down the line from the agreements of dealing with Congress, the president. I have not even seen something that say we have to deal with the Senate. It says Congress and the president. Now, all of a sudden we get caught on the War Department doing the removals because the War Department was the military moving people out. And even though you moved them out, you still established military where you brought them to. Was the military protecting them or was the military blocking them from coming out? Because it wasn't blocking nobody from going in. It just was blocking Indians from coming back. And with those of us who in treaty, the treaty that I'm under, we had a right to stay. My grandfather made sure that was embedded. But even though we had a right to stay, they still brought the military into these areas, especially when the railroads was coming through. So they said the railroad was coming through, so the military come to make sure they keep peace between the workers and the Indians. No, the military came through to keep Indians intact so that their friends who got land through land patents for the railroad, which was going to make them rich, was going to be the growth of America, transportation, and shipment. We didn't play any major role in that. It was remove us because they needed our Indian trails. The Indian trails took you to wherever you wanted to go. They
Maybe one second. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I didn't know. I didn't know if it was me or not. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I have my PC running, so I have to use my phone because there was a lot of echoing going on in the background, and it's probably because the PC's on the charger. So I'm using my phone. Hopefully, y'all can hear me. Let me say that you can. Um,
Yeah, loud and clear.
Interesting how you spoke about the BIA, and they've been playing Congress when Congress is supposed to regulate everything as far as the Indians are concerned. Again, those gatekeepers that have been in the way for quite some time. I would like for Chief Warhorse to give us some insight on the civil rights movement because she was actually a part of it. Um, Everybody knows when I came to the social media spaces and my platform, I said some things about Martin Luther King until I actually met the person who was the son of one of the individuals that contributed to his death. So what prompted me to do more research, and I completely had to rethink things because it was different from, the level of understanding that I had. And it meant so much more. So what I had to do for myself, integrity reasons, I had to make sure that I cleaned his name as much as I could, much as I soiled it. There wasn't any whisper about it. As loud and wrong and strong as I was, saying what I said about him, I've still been advocating to correct that. Um, the civil rights movement, Indian civil rights, was hijacked. And it was hijacked by Black, white, and some of these people that were in that hateful video denying the Lumbee their right to coexist. So, Chief, could you please give us some insight on how you guys did it? How did you mobilize? What was how do you feel that nobody has utilized the civil rights? Like it kind of just died down after all that you and Dr. King and Dr. Andrew Young and all of you did. Um, how does that work? How does that work? How do you feel about that in hindsight?
Is she still up? I didn't see if she was there. I was hoping you saw her, and I couldn't see her.
Oh,
I don't see her there.
Oh no, I think she went off. Okay, hold on. Let me go to the computer.
Okay.
She's probably trying to get back in.
No problem.
hear me?
Yes, okay, I have her back.
Okay, y'all
Chief,
hear me?
yes, were you able to hear the questions that I was
No,
asking?
it got where I couldn't hear nothing. Say it again, and then I'll answer. I said I heard you say something about civil rights when I started getting back to hearing sound.
Yes, I just briefly spoke on how when I came into the blog space or social media, how, I went hard on Martin Luther King. I was very upset realizing, that the Civil Rights Act was rights of Indians. And how did we have all this time to protect us and to, utilize our rights and the benefits of our citizenry? And nobody talked about it. We heard about the movement, but never the law that would have, protected us or at least gave us an equal playing field for the last 54 years. Now, this took place long before I was even on this planet. And I know that you were a part of it. And you hear my lamentations. I tell you personally how, disheartening it is for people to not know how powerful that Indian civil rights was. And it wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you and Dr. King and all of you guys working for decades. And then it just disappeared. How did that make you feel to no one ever brought it up again? They never used it to save them in any situation where they were oppressed. And now that we bring it up, they still don't have the respect. And other people hijacked it and they made it about Native Americans and not the American Indian.
Correct. I'm hurt really because with my kids growing up, they're in their 40s now. I had my children out there, marching and protesting. And my kids grew up with Rosa Parks and Miss King and Joseph Lowry and the Dick Gregorys and Harry Belafontes, and all these people was in my kids' lives as they grew up. If you wasn't really in the movement, you wouldn't have seen it. I got a video I'm uploading, Phoenix, and I'm not trying to take Phoenix time for this. I'm working on it because she's working with me. I'm gonna be uploading a video most probably tomorrow, if possible. I was waiting on you to help me get that watermark on it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
What I did is I got one of my friends. He was in town. He was there with Dr. King. He was one of the students, and I've been with them since I was young, okay? And I had a chance to hear the back room stories and sit in the back room meetings. There were a lot of hijacking going on in the movement. I heard you say that. Let's change it from hijacking to self-centered agenda. There were people who had a self-centered agenda. And self-centered agendas creates a whole lot of new organizations, just what I was just saying with all these different Indian tribes. If somebody think they can make $1, sometimes they got to go get them another organization or another channel. Do that make sense?
Yes,
We're
ma'am.
experiencing right now what happened back then, but it's being done on social media and not being done with flyers or at a particular church or a particular organization. Everybody trying to be in the forefront. Everybody want to be the Martin. Everybody want to be the Ralph Abernathy, or everybody want to be the Joseph Equilari. I have another video I want to upload. I want to take my channel, Phoenix, to kind of answer what you just said. Is what Aima been asking me to do with my page. Bridge the gap is what I did a show with him on. Looking back, moving forward is what we have to do. And I recorded with one of the legends in the civil rights my experience with the movement and where did the Indians get lost when Indians was the ones out there. Indians of color, black, they were out there, the leaders of the movement. Andy Young, his dad is from my village. So you saw him in African attire. They didn't understand the younger generation in the 70s was reading that as this is the way to go. Y'all getting what I'm saying? Then Andy becomes the ambassador to Africa. People see that as him going back to Africa. When Andy family is made up of Indian and Italian. Okay? Am I kind of answering what you're saying? So you got this person from the 7th Ward on one side, and from over here on this side of the water from the Indian community. His blood is made up of those two things. One was a group that came here that was Sicilians. Let me do it that way. And his other group that was the Indian. What happened when we fight and we don't say, I'm an Indian, is the thing we got to start saying. What I did different is while fighting in civil rights, I kept my Indian agenda out there because I saw that mistake. And we're going to call it a mistake or oversight. Because I had a chance to ask Coretta Scott King, ask Rosa Parks, ask Andy. I asked Joseph Lowry, James Orange. I was with the top of the top. I had only one of them that told me, I can't tell you from Indian or what. That was Dick Gregory. He'd be straightforward. But Dick Gregory told me all the time, he said, Ms. Gillum, this is why I was the chief. Ms. Gillum, the way your people live is the way that's going to have to bring Black America out. Dick Gregory would tell me that all the time. But he never professed to be an Indian. If you look at right now and you can reach Judge Mathis, His people from Florida, he an Indian. He says, Chief, you my chief. If we never was left, if I never would have left Florida and he never would have moved us, I'll been there with you. But when we see Judge Mathis, we hear people say African-American judge. So it wasn't only just civil rights in the political arena. African-American got the credit, or black. In the entertainment, the credit went to them. So no one gave the credit to who their ancestors were. I was out there flying around in St. Tammany like a black fly in a bowl of buttermilk. Okay? In meetings, I would be sometimes the only person in color standing up and say, well, what about us? I have videos with white leaders from this parish. We're going to upload that too, okay, Phoenix? And kind of walk back in the past with Chief Warhorse a little bit. And hear how I address people in the past. It's not much different than today, okay? So it's you who have to put you out there. But when I would ask these civil rights leaders, how did y'all leave us? How did you leave? When I mean us, I'm not talking about me as an individual, but the plight of the Black Indian. And all of them told me the same thing. They didn't know that they left it until it was left. They thought they was fighting for everything of color, but you didn't put it in the writing. And they didn't do it intentionally. These people's lives was on the line. I was out there with my life on the line. And I had a little bit more rights when I was fighting than they had when they started fighting. So that little bit of rights that civil rights gave me, I learned how to use it. Is that a good way to put it? And not only did I learn how to use it, I learned how to make it grow for other people to be able to use it. So Dr. King in his speech, we didn't hear those speeches on the streets. SCLC would have video days, and we'd go in there and learn from speeches Dr. King made. There's tons of stuff Dr. King said that people haven't heard. But also, I would go to Dr. Lowry right there on 334 Auburn Avenue, which was the Mason Lodge, had been SCLC headquarters since the beginning, okay? And what a lot of people don't know, SCLC was founded in New Orleans, Louisiana. Did y'all know that?
No, I didn't know.
So I had a chance to be with the leaders who put the laws together and put together the Civil Rights Bill. So I knew Judge Collins, I knew Judge Augustine, I knew Reverend Avery C. Alexander. These were the people who sit down and put the whole thing together. And when you talk to them, they had Indian blood. The focus were getting some rights. It wasn't just about Indian rights, they were fighting for rights. It started off a Negro thing that grew to find out more people had problems than they thought. And people begin to bring more problems to them. More people bring problems, more it take them from going the way they were going. You start getting a bigger agenda. You know, you get sidetracked to somebody else's fight. You end up with the women's movement. Same thing happened there. The women's movement got hijacked, correct? It only covered the white women only. It didn't cover women of color. So any movement meets at time when someone come along and use it on the other side and take it away from what it actually was meant for. Right now, when we talk civil rights in the Black community, it only means police brutality. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I had cousins I lost by police, head blown off in their own house. That was in the 80s. I was out there fighting stuff like that in the 90s. So it's different era. People wake up and they think the other era hadn't done nothing, but they did. Problem is, were you there when they was out there? Reverend Alexander and a lot of us was on the first movement for taking down the Confederate monuments. His purpose was because of it was being Confederate and it was stood for racism. My reason for climbing up on the monuments, I was young, climbing up on those monuments, I called to the project and told them to bring me any pissy blanket they had. And them blankets was stank. And I wrapped that doggone monument up right there in New Orleans with some pissy blankets. That's what I felt about it. And we were battling David Duke and all of this stuff. And my thing is, where was everybody? That's how I feel. Where was everybody? We did those things. Now we at the point that we can't say where's everybody because we have the internet and we say we woke and we still not focused on nothing but how you stop police brutality is by raising the awareness that Jim Crow have not been publicly demolished. If they publicly demolish Jim Crow law and what the Confederates did, they became the leaders that established a lot of this stuff that we are still suffering from. That black Indian, black African, or black whatever can function more freely. That was what they saw in the civil rights movement, I believe, back then. But then Dr. King said, the Negro people find themselves in exile in their own land. So he was letting people know back then, this is your land. But you're in exile. We still are in exile, guys. It have not changed from that speech. Dr. King said, I have a dream. How many people go back and listen to the speech when he tell the man that his dream became a nightmare? That was before he died. 11 months before he died, he said, my dream became a nightmare. But every year they only want to play, I have a dream. Why they don't play, my dream became a nightmare? All of us start in a fight with hopes of making a change if we went into that fight for the right purpose. And a lot of times when we're fighting, we don't know who the real enemy is. We don't know what the outcome gonna be. We don't know if we're gonna live through it. So looking back on hindsight, people can say, oh, the civil rights people sold us out. But we never say, well, let me go ask my grandma, did she give any funding? Did she help with the movement? Let me ask my mom and dad, what part did they play? Did they march? Did they use whatever transportation to help move people around when they had bus boycotts? But they're targeting the people that were out there because that's the only people they know to target. But they don't target back to their own communities, and their families, and their churches. We looking for these people to do what people do when they say, I'm calling on Jesus. Okay, I'll tell them, keep calling. You better get up off your butt and go do it. They looking for a miracle worker. We got to get rid of the miracle worker. Then we got people that don't want to be seen as an agitator. And a good washing machine got to have good agitation to clean. And that's why I like Phoenix. She's a good agitator. And I can call her an agitator because I'm Queen Agitator. I've been agitating for a long time. And that's why I can look into Phoenix and see leadership. I don't even deal with a lot of people. Y'all know that. People cut and paste me more on the internet than anything. They don't get to talk to me. They just get something somebody posted, cut, paste, and add something to it. I talk to Phoenix all the time. She can call me anytime, day or night. Why? Because she admitted she didn't understand what happened in the civil rights movement. She admitted that she didn't like the wrongness she saw. When people came at me, just like they came at Dr. King and stabbed him, just like they came at Dr. King and killed him, just like they came at Malcolm and shot him, when the black folks came after them, you know, black folks went after them. When the black folks came after me, it was people like a Phoenix Moon. I don't know how she did it. She really haven't told me, but some kind of way she tracked me down. And I say, I'm working on something, and as soon as I'm finished working on what I'm trying to get done, I'm going to make contact, and your show will be the first one I do when I come out. What was I talking about? Black folks in a conspiracy to destroy me. But somebody want to make us focus on white folks. I've had more white people come to my rescue. And that's why I want to post something, Phoenix, tonight. Amy been begging me to put this round table with Dr. King and Snick and all of them up there, because those were different organizations that came together to unify to build a better strength. The March on Washington is what they're talking about. And it was a lot of organizations came together to make that one big day. And you bring your people and your organizing skills to the table. We got to learn to do that with this. I remember the old civil rights leaders telling me we training you so that there'll be a generation to bridge the gap. And that's why I started doing this Bridge the Gap thing, because people need to know that it's not over with.
Right.
You to Malcolm today, you to Martin today, you to Joseph Ecolari today. I'm Avery C. Alexander today. I'm Ted Quant today. I'm James Orange today. Now, why did I put it that way? Because those were people who got out there and put the boot on the ground. Dr. King was able to articulate what was going on while the other people was fighting the fight. Not saying he didn't fight, but he wasn't fighting it in boot on ground. He came out and was the reporter, in other words, to tell the world what was happening to the people with the boot on the ground. Y'all with me? We have to organize that way. Huh?
Oh, I was saying I'm definitely with you. I don't want to cut you off really at all. You making me think about, because when I grew up, my family, I grew up in Harlem, and I went to Canaan Baptist Church. So the pastor there is Wyatt T. Walker, and my family was really like.
I done been to your
Go ahead,
area.
please.
I done been to Wyatt T.
Okay.
Walker Church. What are you talking about? To rallies.
Yeah. I grew up real close to him, and like in a lot of ways, just not realizing, I didn't realize really who he was to the movement until one day I was watching Eyes on the Prize, and I'm like, hold on, that's Wyatt T. Walker, because my aunt, she was the choir director over there, my grandaunt at Canaan Baptist Church, and my grandfather, he was the first, quote unquote, Black principal at Benjamin Franklin High School, and he was very instrumental in the church as well, so Wyatt T. Walker would just show up, at like a family barbecue at my grandaunt's house in New Rochelle or something like that. So I grew up close to this, but I didn't understand, who the people were. But I also grew up around them in the community.
Look,
Yeah, it was the community that they built. They built a community out there, because like I grew up in Canaan Towers.
Let me tell you what he did.
Please go ahead.
Wyatt T. Walker will be considered back then a mega church, okay, in New York. And he took the money and built the housing center there. Am I correct?
Yep, that's where I grew up. That's where I grew up.
I'm saying this so I let you know I know what I'm talking about, okay? So, and I ain't telling you from just somebody told me I've been there. He built the housing for people to have places affordable to live. He had the food program also, okay? So, when we talking about civil rights leader, he was a civil rights leader, and he did his job, and he did it well. He built housing, he had food programs, and he ministered. He wasn't there just preaching for to collect money and buy an airplane. He invested the money back into the community. That's a powerful civil rights leader, okay?
Thank you.
So, this is what we got to wake back up. See, you had a leader in your life. This is what I'm saying. What did your community do? And then you reflect back and you may find that you had a civil rights leader right there with you. That's why you didn't have the problems we have today, because you had a Wyatt T. Walker. I had an Avery Alexander. Now, let me tell you why you're talking about that, so they understand a little connection. The Civil Rights Movement was basically in the South. That's why SCLC was the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. So the boycotts and the sit-ins was going on down here. And the Civil Rights Movement in the South got confronted, as Reverend Alexander said, on y'all worried about just what's going on down South, but we living in a ghetto with racism. We may not be under a legal Jim Crow, but we under equal Jim Crow. Do y'all get what I'm saying? We as equally bonded and bounded by what you are. So that is what started the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the Civil Rights Organization, setting up chapters in places like Chicago and New York and all these type places. And then it ended up even into California. So civil rights is in all of us in a way. We just got to look back. The church was the only place you had to hold meetings. So whenever your people were in church, you were teaching them of the plights of what was going on and giving them hopes on what you can do to make a change. Now all the church speak on is prosperity and going to heaven, and nobody want to die, and the preacher's getting all the money. See, we got this modern day church in the Black community. We don't have a church that's mobilized, organized, mobilized, and they fought with organized, mobilized to vote. Then the slang go, organize, mobilize, vote. Those three things is important. But one thing I'll tell you, I will not tell nobody ever again, but I'm guilty of it. That's what I told Phoenix. Phoenix, we fought for stuff as civil rights leaders. We thought it was that route was gonna make a change. Then we found out it's a blank door. I told people I've registered thousands and thousands of people in the South and registered them as a Democrat. Do y'all understand? With hopes that we were gonna be respected. But I also, after when President Obama was elected, I saw no change in the first administration. By the second administration of Obama, I changed from a Democrat to an independent because I found out neither one of them gangs represent our people at the bottom. Do y'all understand? We need to be organized where we can do like the Hispanic community. Unite our votes for our cause.
I agree.
Raise our voice for our cause. Huh?
Oh, I was just saying, I agree. We definitely got to do that.
You ain't gonna come coating. You know, I come from old school. If a dude come coating, you have to have his shirt on, unless your mama wasn't gonna let you talk to him. And he need to bring some flowers or something. He need to bring flowers for you and your mama. You know what I'm saying? Then they say that's a gentleman. And then the gentleman come in and he try to learn what your mama and your daddy want for you, so that he don't mess up and they tell him don't come back no more. All right, what was I saying? We need these political parties, I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. They need to come coating us for our vote. And we need to sit down like the parents do when a boy come over to coat back in the day. See, we done lost culture. Boys don't come coating now. They meet your daughter down the street or at school and they'll never come around. But if you were going to court somebody's daughter, you was going to come and present yourself and your intents. So we need the political parties to come coating us. And we need to show them what need to be done. And that's why the Hispanics was able, they took our people language from them. But the Hispanics came back on a rebound. And the Spanish say, now we're going to be the second language of the United States. Did y'all see what just happened? So Spanish become the second language to the English language. And most of our Indian language was beaten out of our ancestors. We need to come back to the table. Now, why I brought that up? Because the gentleman said, you don't have no culture. They don't have nothing. Well, evidently, you must have wasn't an Indian if you kept something, because they beat it out the real Indians. As much of it as they could. Okay?
Great point.
So, who got it is who took it. Find the thief. So, civil rights and Indian fights is the same fight. And that means that civil rights was not over when Dr. King died or Malcolm died or no other civil rights leader. If Chief Warhorse died today, civil rights ain't over. Human rights is not over. Now we got to educate. And that's why I'm coming back with my channel. Because Phoenix, my son and my daughter said, you got to leave something here for us. Because what y'all had is gone. That is the truth. But it doesn't mean it have to stay gone. We have to re-educate. We have to retreat, regroup, reorganize, and return. I plan on doing some lives, just like I'm sitting here talking. Phoenix didn't ask me to do it, and I told her, yes, I will. Because one day this voice is not going to be here no more. And I understand that. But I don't want people to think of Indian mean living in a teepee and trying to sit down and read something to sell for arts and crafts. When I came from India, that built ships, huge ships, schooners, bricks. They made bricks. They built buildings. Before Europeans was coming, our people had buildings. So if I want that to be what's left, I need to tell it and show it. And that's why I'm coming back. But I also had a need when I called Phoenix. See, that's another thing we got to be honest. What do we want from each other? I say, Phoenix, I need something from you too. I don't mind bridging the gap for the community, okay, Phoenix? I say, Phoenix, my office is lost between disasters and termites. All these storms and the water and all this thing got me. I say, so I'm at the hotel with the studio. but could you help me start a page that I can raise money to get my office back up? Then I can really kick back, and we can take it as long as God leave me on this earth. Produce, organize, educate. We can even do some retreats. And there are still some old civil rights leaders still living. And we need to learn from them before they close their eyes too. We have allowed too many of our libraries to shut down on us, closing their eyes and sealing of their lips. So we need to catch them while the library is still alive. So we looking to be like the white Indians. I don't want to be like them people. They were thieves and liars and connivers and door blockers. We came from people better than that. We came from people that built and kept this country for thousands of years. And those who invaded us is who have destroyed this place and destroyed the water. And they haven't even had it for a good 500 years and them pausing the water. We had it for thousands of years and the water was clean. I don't hear them white people talking about that because they're not connected to the earth. They only want artifacts. That video just showed you what they want, artifacts. Something they can make money off of. And our culture and history, for them being federally recognized, is a way for them to make wealth off of that. You didn't kill all people, now you just want to take that was in the soil and make money again. But that's where the civil rights and Indian rights come together. And that's what Chief Warhorse stands for. We have a right to fight to protect what was for us and our ancestors, and it is not legislated by Congress or the Senate or whatever president that's elected. We are who we are because we're born from who we came from. And we are the best civil rights leaders and the best earth keepers there is. So, what do we do to fix it? Educate, motivate. You understand? Just like you mobilize, you got to motivate. And that's what Y.T. Walker was, a motivator. He could motivate people to register to vote. He could motivate people to put their dimes and pennies and quarters together to build a beautiful center and everything. And those type things should be put on a way for people to go tour Phoenix. Go tour what the civil rights leaders did with just a half a hand of rights that they were fighting for. And they were able to build things in the community of color. All these rich ball players and people we giving all this money to, and people that bought Adidas and they done bought this and they done bought that. How much of that money came back to build the black community? But we can't talk about the civil rights leaders because they were billing. And then we didn't come along and do maintenance. So if you don't maintain it, it will fall. Now, can we build again? Yes, we can. But our building cannot be in us having hopes in somebody doing it for us. It has to be a commitment that we're willing to come together and do it together. And we are not going to always agree, but we cannot become disagreeable. And everybody can't be the head because we need fingers and toes and legs and hands and knees and ankles and feet and toes. We got to get out of everybody got to be the head, because with the head, you got eyes and ears. You may be a part of the top organizing system. The top organizing system of the head is the eyes, the ear, the nose, and the mouth. That is the top figuration of the head. But the head is nothing without a neck. What holds the head up? And so the neck is a little small thing that holds the head up, but the body is where the work is taken care of. So it's more important sometimes to be a member of the body than it is to be a member of the head. Find your spot in the organization and do it very well. And we got to keep them naysayers out of our head on what can work and what can't work. It took Malcolm and Martin to get us where we at. You go that way or you can go this way. So we dealing with the situation that the people in civil rights was dealing with Bull Connor and all of these people. Then you go back, well, what did they do when Bull Connor was holding them down? What did they do when George Wallace was holding them down? Y'all with where I'm at? Well, you know what they did? They organized. And they educated people to the issues that was at hand. And then they began to organize, what can we do to bring about a solution, to remove the barriers. And this whole fight with us, with what's going on now, I'm going to give you all something to feel real good about. I felt like the Lone Ranger. And I ain't talking about that white man either. I'm talking the real Lone Ranger. To my
I dig it.
Bass Reed. Look, my Bass Reed. See how they switch Bass Reed out and put a white man there to get the credit? That's been going on for thousands of years. Okay? You have to see how they swiped out a Jesus that would look black like us to a Jesus that looked like a hippie. They can switch it, man. But I felt like a Lone Ranger. I used to call myself the she-bass with Reeve. I go into territory nobody can get into. Y'all understand that? And if I got to go in there to get the information, I'm going. And normally I'm going to come out because I go in with the intent to come out. But I have did some things to elevate the pain of the Black Indians of America. When I started doing this, they didn't even have internet. Had to do it the hard way. My husband go to work, give me gas money, and I travel in hotel money. I'm traveling, telling people the plight of the Indians. And I marched and protested in this town with bullhorns and flyers and poster boards. See, this is a part of Chief Warhorse a lot of y'all don't know. And I did those things is what gave me the leverage I have today, to have the voice that I have today. So when I come back this time, Phoenix, I want to post things so people know who Chief Warhorse is and what did she do back when she was young. Before she was Chief Warhorse, I've been doing this stuff. This is the first time. I remember when I started building computers, they didn't have very many women. I ain't know no woman building computers way back. That was directly between the DOS and the first line of Windows. So I had to program computers. So you don't even program that. Now you're working off apps. And I remember when I built my first multimedia computer. And my husband said, "You're going to make it talk, right?" I said, "Yes, I am." And I was determined. And man, I would order parts and work with that thing. And I would make it do what I wanted it to do. My husband come through, he said, "I see you got it talking." You couldn't buy a multimedia computer out the store back then, guys. You had to build it. So I learned everything about computers. I even took and tied a handkerchief around my eyes, took the computer pieces, told the kids to scrabble it all over the floor like a game. And I would go back with my hand and feel the parts and feel the board and put it back to where it go on the motherboard, put that computer back together with a blindfold. I challenged myself. Because they say women wasn't doing this. And I'm like, anybody can tell me no woman can't do this. And I was doing it. Before I knew it, guys who I thought was geeks was coming to me to find out how to do stuff. I was a geek before they had a geek squad at Best Buy. Okay? So I built computers. So I didn't concentrate on just doing what we're doing right now. I concentrated on what made it work. So when you do that, you know how to make it, break it, fix it. If something not going on right, you knew if it was a video driver having a problem or if it was audio had a problem. What I'm trying to tell you, take that type mentality in what you're doing. So when you go out there, you the best on the field. Okay? You the best on the field because why? You test yourself. And you want to be better every time you come in. Never think you the best if you don't come back and practice. All ball teams keep practicing so they can stay in the winning game, right? And if you lose, don't take the loss as you lost. Just take it, I'm going back and train harder. But what we have done is we have dropped the ball. We figure we done lost as a whole. You all gave me hope. You know what I see with you all now? What if I never mentioned on this internet about a Black Indian and the plight? We may not be sitting here talking today. It inspired people to dig, learn who you are, what happened to your people. Now we're at another level, the level we're at now. How do we get justice for that which everybody have found out about their history? And what we need to be doing is like y'all are doing now. What you did, Mr. Taylor, was you saw something wasn't right with that tape and you got it to people so you could see how could we fix it. That's what we're supposed to do because we are our brothers and sisters keeper. So you're on the right track. But it's people like y'all that keep me going. Okay? And one day y'all gonna be sitting in my seat. And the younger generation gonna need y'all to keep them going. Like elders kept me going. Now I ain't gonna hold y'all no longer because I can talk to y'all about what we made mistakes and forever, but it's not gonna fix it. We here to say what you're doing now is the right thing at the right time with the right people. And keep doing what you're doing. We may not make a dime. Don't worry about it. I just went yesterday and looked at, I walked into a meeting, told them, look, I want to buy a mall. I ain't even got the money to buy a mall, but they say, look, you don't worry about it, we can get the mall. Who was talking about? Culture and tourism. Why? My history is that rich. How rich is your history in your town? How many people you done told a story that you knew what Wyatt T. Walker and taught them about Wyatt T. Walker's? Do that. Tell them what Wyatt T. Walker built there for you all. And that can motivate somebody else to tap into Wyatt T. Walker. See, as long as you remember what he did, Wyatt T. Walker's still living. Tell somebody you had a great leader and who he was. All right, I'm going to shut up, y'all. I want to hear y'all anyway.
Oh no, I
Thank
I was
you.
soaking it in. Yeah, I was soaking it in because I do appreciate what was built there. You know, the last of a community that I can remember seeing, it was there. It was in Harlem on 115th Street in Lenox. And I remember used to walk from 15th and Lenox all the way up to like 45th and Lenox where my dad people was, you know. And there's all these people that came from the South, you know, a lot of them primarily. And you know what I'm saying? It was just, it was home. It felt so comfortable. And you know what I mean? There were things that happened, you know, of course, we know the drugs, the crack, you know, that was one of the biggest things. And, you know, a lot of the propaganda against, you know, us just as young people that was just growing up, really just respecting our elders, and that's who was our authority. And, you know, I could think back to like, you know, that whole Central Park 5 situation and how that got blew up in the media, of course. And it changed from our community being that community to people now giving up their authority and asking the police to come in and handle things. And I saw it change, you know, but I saw that last really, you know, remnant of that community before it changed. You get what I'm saying? And I can't ever forget it. You get what I'm saying? So I totally, you know, I was kind of wrapped up in everything you were saying. You was really inspiring what you were telling me. And I definitely try to live through, you know, what he did, what my grandfather did. You know, they started a whole liberation school out there. And, you know, because they had all these hurdles to prevent my grandfather from becoming principal. So they decided, you know, the parents withdrew from the school, teachers withdrew, and they started a liberation school and basically broke the back. And they wound up making my grandfather the principal. So, you know, it's the power that we have. And this is what I always tell people. This is like the voice that I choose to take on. When I hear people like, oh, no, we can't do this. So I'm like, no way. We definitely could do it. We did it already. We did it already.
Before. So
Yeah.
see what you just described to us? That's what I take, where I come from, what I heard. I could hear all the Indians speaking in their own tongues in my community. And that's my motivation to go to the next step. What you just described here, you have it. You know what that kind of community looks like. And you should be working to renew that. Okay? Build that back. Don't have to be in the same place. Build that unity back. Build back where if we don't want our kids in those schools, we go build our own schools. I just heard you say a lot of history right there, Mr. Tim.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in you. You've been
I
exposed
homeschool
to
my
it.
sons. Yeah, I homeschool my sons right now. And, you know, it's taking that same spirit. So, yes, I totally understand.
So then when the more you communicate with people, the more you're going to inspire somebody to follow what you are doing too. Okay? So you have that leadership because you came from leadership. See, now I know why you knew I got to get this tape to somewhere where we can get this out. You know why? Because you came out of a Wyatt T. Walker community. Okay? Where y'all community was a family.
Yes, indeed.
And you said something great. You said they came up from the South. See, we got a lot of people. I'm from New York. Where did your people come from before they went south on that white flight, black flight? Because the white folks ran the black people up there to work, and they came down here and took the old people farms. So that was one reason Dr. King and the movement ended up going north. It's because the north was the south. Y'all getting what I'm saying? Just relocate.
Totally.
Just relocate. So we got a lot of work ahead of us. I don't know how many people on here around my age, but I'm not ashamed. I'm 62, finna be 63. But my people have longevity. So I know I have a good 40 more years of work before I close my eyes. I know that. I can do another 40. I promised one of my oldest elder, when I became chief, was 113 years old. And she read 5 newspapers a day, and she was sharp. And one thing she said is, as long as you use your brain, or no, let me change. She said, as long as you exercise your brain, it'll stay fit. So something I'm gonna tell y'all while you're young: exercise your brain. All this reading we doing and stuff, we exercising our brain. When we communicating like we're doing, we're exercising our brain in communication, and we can have longevity. You also releasing the stress. Okay, and that was something I heard in the MoWa chief today. They stressed out, and they stressed out because they isolated. And I welcome them to the fight with us, because we fighting for them, but it still intertwines, like they said about the North and the South. We fighting our own fight too by helping them. Okay, because it's just another location, same fight. So I hope I haven't bored you all out and kept y'all too long. But we're going to do a lot of more talking. So, we're going to take it where we at now and look for the next level. And we're going to do it together. So I would like to say it's an honor to meet you, Mr. Taylor. And it's also an honor to tell you this. It's an honor to meet a person that came from under Wyatt T. Walker. So you should understand pain. And every day is not going to be sunshine. It's going to rain on our fight sometime. Sometimes our fight gonna get shut down because it's gonna storm. It ain't gonna just rain, it's gonna storm on our fight. And we have a choice: get an umbrella and some big boots and go out there in it, or wait till the sunshine come back out. Any questions anyone want to ask me?
No, I just wanted to thank you for those words. They really, I really received them and I appreciate them. Yeah, I'm gonna just really just act on that. So yeah, Phoenix, if you got anything to say, I just really appreciate what you said, for real. Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank y'all for listening.
Chief, love you like cook food. I thank you so much for coming and speaking with us this evening. Can't wait. I hope y'all hitting that subscribe button. Did we drop the channel yet? Can we drop Chief Warhorse's channel in the chat? Got to get them subscriptions up. Chief's going live.
Yeah, run it up. Run it up.
I talked to Raspy yesterday. And he says, well, between me and Phoenix, we got to get your page up. And I always say, because nobody know you back out here. I say, I really never was out there. They put me out there before, but this time I'm out here, okay? So
that's right.
He's on the team of helping to get them numbers. So he's like, well, how many you have? And I was telling him. He said, well, that's not bad to say you just been out there 8 or 9 days. I said, but I have a good coach. I have Phoenix teaching me. So Phoenix, he said anything he can do to help with us, reach out to him.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Very proud of Raspy, too. He's out doing his thing, making his family proud.
Yes, he is.
And it makes him feel good to make his family proud. I love to see our brothers with that spirit. And I just wish him all the health, wealth, and success, because we know he's going to do good.
Yes, he is.
Damon, brother, your flowers long overdue, man. I'm telling you. I appreciate you. Damon knows my father. We was debating all these people in these rooms for years. And one day I posted a picture and Damon says, how do you know that guy?
Well, it's a weird way how God bring people together, because I wasn't thinking to find someone on here that knew Wyatt T. Walker either. And, I go back to the Wyatt T. Walker days. So that was an honor and a surprise too.
Amazing how they connected. So I
It's a
called my
small
father
world.
and I said, hey, Dad, I know you know a lot of kids from school and stuff, and it's been a long time. But do you remember Damon Taylor? And he knew exactly who Damon Taylor was. And he asked me, well, how do you know him? And I was telling him how Damon's like just side by side with me in these battle groups, putting out this information and, you know,
Mhm.
getting people to tell on themselves and stuff. And our dad said I was in good hands. He's been my brother, friend, and confidant. Excellent, brilliant scholar, dope father. Just appreciate you so much, D. Really, really do,
No,
bro.
thank you so much. And I like I said, I got to give it back to you because I always admired what you was doing and supported what you was doing. And really, when people started to take shots at you, it's like it was so unwarranted that I was proud to be able to stand by your side and like really knock a lot of those people back out the way because you didn't deserve it. You know what I mean? You really came in with a pure heart, pure spirit, and you want the best for for our people. So I mean, what's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying? And like once that connection, that real life connection was there, it was like, oh yeah, come on, don't play. You know what I'm saying? You can't play with Phoenix like that. You feel me? So I definitely look at you the same. Like you're my big sister, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely appreciate, you giving me the opportunity. You're always on your platform and bigging me up, you know what I'm saying? And the same goes to you. You already know.
Well, Phoenix, you
Indeed.
know what Aima say about you? She say if we just on a conversation, it's a show by itself. So anytime we talk, she say, why don't we have a show? She say, Miss Phoenix just keep bringing some more stuff. She say the two of y'all together. She say, hey, it's a show every day. So she is dynamite. You got it right, Damien. She's a dynamite woman, and people don't come at you unless they're jealous of you. Okay, Phoenix.
Yes, ma'am.
And guess what? They're gonna be a whole lot more jealous of you. You know why? Because you study reaching out and helping people that you don't even know. Okay? So nobody can take your place with us. So that love you was talking about, I got even more than that for you. You just don't know. We finna have some fun in 2023. They might have made us feel weak and tired battling them. We had that battle fights and stuff. But now we fixing to have some fun. They got a snowball staying around the corner right now on a hot sunny day. You okay? Bow. So we're gonna cool off a little bit in the sun now, right?
I'm so excited. I
Yeah, I
can't
like that.
wait. Shout out to everybody at Urban Indian Heritage Society. Y'all are the truth. I am so glad that the ancestors got us just tightly held together. I appreciate y'all. Um, Things are looking up. It's a beautiful time to be alive with the right people, with the pure intent. Um, and we care, and just regular human compassion, y'all. I dig y'all so much. Thank you, everybody, for coming to pull up with us. Chief, we're going to drop the channel again. Subscribe to Cooking with the Chief. She is on YouTube. December 1st, Chief, when can they expect to see you go live?
I think I'm gonna be going on live December 1st. I'll let you know for sure tomorrow. I'll give it to you
Fantastic.
closer to time. Boy, but this is gonna be a surprise when we do this one though. This is gonna be a surprise. Can't wait.
Yes, and I'm glad you were here because I think I don't want nobody to think that I made a dummy channel of you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really Chief Warhorse's channel.
Let me tell that to Amy. She don't think I made a dummy. She made a dummy
I
channel.
want y'all to know that's really Chief Warhorse's
That's
channel.
really Chief Warhorse. Yes, it
And
is.
she's here, and you heard it herself. I'm
And
so
I'm glad
delighted.
y'all want to know about civil rights as equally as Indian rights, which I told y'all you can learn from both. They the same thing. So I'm gonna be dropping
There
some
you
stuff
go.
in there tonight. It's not my stuff that I'm dropping tonight. When I drop my stuff, I have a good leader in this here thing, and her name is Phoenix Boom. When my stuff drop, it's gonna have my tag she say on it. So we got
Yes.
Dynamite tag waiting up, and y'all gonna get used to seeing that tag, and y'all gonna know it's genuine, the real McCoy of Chief Warhorse when I put my stuff out there. Yes.
Did. We can't wait. Well, I thank you so much. Damon, good brother. We will catch up soon. Chief Warhorse, love you like cook food. Thank you so much for
Love
being
y'all.
here.
All right, night night. Out of
Already.
here.
Yes. And if you
No,
guys
I
haven't
appreciate it.
already, I know y'all heard about the petition. Sign the petition. Share the petition. We all here for the same reason. Make sure we put some respect on grandma and grandpa's name. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here. I think that's mutual. And if it is, it's going to show.
Feelings mutual. Feelings definitely mutual.
Yes, indeed. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for pulling up. And we're going to catch up with y'all soon. Hopefully I could get, there he is, cousin Ishmael Bay here. I know he had one grand time in Belize and Central America getting that Mesoamerican drop. I would love to interview him, Chief Warhorse. I got to tell you, I'm going to send you this website again in case you missed it. This is the best website that I could say 2022. I can't wait. You guys, y'all be good. Y'all take care of yourselves, take care of each other. And you know what I say. If not now, then when? And if not us, then who? It's going to be good. Peace out, Chike.
Peace. Shouts to Urban Indian Heritage Society.